All right, my people. I'm just here with some boxing talk just for a minute. First off, I want to say salute to Claressa Shields, becoming heavyweight champion. She did it again. And hey, wish you nothing but the best on your journey. Second thing I want to talk about real quick, Derek Chisora versus Joyce. Now, Derek Chisora got the win, of course. He dropped Joyce in the fight. Now, a lot of people, great fight, great fight. Okay, if you see it that way, okay, fine. Same Derek Chisora and the same Joyce that we've seen, since his loss to Zhang, and then that follow up match that he had, his comeback match. This doesn't mean that Derek Chisora got better. This doesn't mean that Derek Chisora all of a sudden now, he's ready for prime time again. Now this win may have put him in a position where he's a sacrificial lamb for someone one more time and he get another big payday. But, he's going to do what he's going to do. And that's just the way I see that. But this is just the fact that Joyce is now a declining fighter, and you can see it. He's, always been slow, always been easy to hit, there to be hit, no footwork and all. Same Joyce, yo. The same Joyce. This does not elevate Derek Chisora. It just goes to show you how far Joyce has fallen. Another thing, and the last thing I want to talk about, Deontay Wilder. We've been looking at his situation. We know he has some things going on outside the ring. He's now lost 2 back-to-back fights over in Saudi. And when I look at Deontay and him posting something, about a week or two after the fight, his last fight that he just had with Zhang, where the post said, "We're not done yet, just yet, baby." Now we know that Mauricio Suleiman was offering him a fight against Bukoli and at Bridgerweight, and I feel like that's a step down, to be honest with you, because even though a title's on the line, that's just like I said. That's like Wilder saying, "Hey man, I can't compete anymore with these guys." So for you to consider yourself the hardest puncher in heavyweight history, okay, whatever. And people say the same thing, then you shouldn't have a problem with knocking these guys out. And especially when, to me, I see the same Wilder. It's just that stepping up in competition, just like I told you guys, when he does, he's going to lose. And he's going to look bad losing. And that's just what happened. Now I'm looking at the fact Joyce is coming off of a loss. Okay? And my thing with that is this. If he was to fight Joyce and say he won, well, Zhang also beat Joyce. And Zhang also beat Wilder. And so did Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker beat Zhang. What does this do for Wilder? How does this, what does it do? Because now people officially know that Joyce is no longer that guy. He's no longer the same. His punch resistance isn't the same. And his skills are declining. So here's another fight that Wilder could have had years ago that he let slip away. So now Wilder's opponents that will be left for him that people even think he'd have a chance to beat. Well, Dillian Whyte won his last fight, but he looked crappy and he hasn't been back since. Maybe he can fight a Dillian Whyte if he chooses to. But even if he beats a Dillian Whyte, what does that do for Wilder? That's the position that Wilder's in right now. Unless Wilder gets a spectacular win against a top-level guy, as far as I'm concerned, it's over for Wilder. It's done. But for the people that's looking at options, and even though there'd be a title on the line, and if he was to win, okay, well, he became champion at Bridgerweight. Okay, it's in the history books, but, who really cares? And then understand, Wilder himself, I don't think he'd feel like this was any justice. Why? Because I had to wave the white flag in the heavyweight division and come down and fight these guys. If Bukoli was fighting 230, 240, right? What if he came in the same weight as Wilder? 213, 214, right? What does it matter? That means you're just fighting another heavyweight. You are bridgerweight, if that's the case, fighting against anybody else, with the exception of being 238 when you fought Fury. You know, but aside from that, what's the difference? Because Mauricio Suleiman said the weight limit is 224. So what would it really matter if you fought Lawrence Bacoli? What would it matter? You know, you're still coming in the same weight. So it's not anything that I can see him winning that's really worth anything. And then when you look at that, it's probably a safer route, more than likely, than the fight against the top heavyweights, which he showed you he cannot compete. So if he was to beat Dillian White, well, the problem with that is Fury already destroyed White and he already destroyed Wilder. So if he beats White, unless he comes in there vicious first, second round knockout or something and looks spectacular to people, and to me, it's not even spectacular to just do the same. Like, you're capable of doing the same thing to lesser opponents. Okay, even if it's just Dylan running to a shot, whether he times Dylan, whatever it may be. But that's what people will say. It's a spectacular win. Okay, but bottom line is he needs to do something like that. But if he does that, here's what people are overlooking in reality. The steam that the fight had between him and AJ, that shit's dead. It's bone dry. It's ice cold. And the only people that you would hear confidently say he's going to beat AJ would be someone like a Teddy Atlas maybe, and then like Wilder fans. For the most part, people know AJ's not going for that shit that Wilder does. And his style just doesn't beat AJ's style, in my opinion. At the end of the day, those are opportunities that he let slip away. And the fact of the matter is, he could have fought Joseph Parker a long time ago. You know, and he could have went for undisputed against Frank Martin before Anthony Joshua did. So all these fights that now, at his age, he's not going to get all those fights. It's not going to happen. And the fact is, he lost to Joseph Parker and he lost to Zhang, and it wasn't even competitive fights. So I think for Wilder, to be honest with you, for his own safety, his own health, he needs to just, and according to him, he's fine with money, and he said he didn't even need boxing anymore. Remember that. So if that's the case, I think Wilder would be better off just sail off into the sunset, fix whatever problems he has going on in his life, just deal with whatever he has to do and get through it. But I think boxing, in all honesty, should be a closed chapter. Now, it's up to him what he chooses to do. But that's just my thoughts. Just wanted to give y'all some boxing talk. And I will catch you guys on the very next episode.
You know, at this point, the only difference in police officers and the Aryan Brotherhood is the race requirement. Like, you cannot seriously look me in the face and tell me you don't look at police officers and think they are the world's most dangerous gang. I'm just saying, they all dress the same, they all cover for each other, they're all armed to the teeth, but ain't none of them got a lick of goddamn training for the weapons they are armed with. And statistically, I'd just be willing to bet you are more likely to be unalived by a police officer than you are any gang member of any affiliation out there. The only difference is when the gangbangers make somebody disappear off the planet, you know they deserved it. When the police do it, you know the police deserved it. Hell, at this point, it might even be unfair to compare the police officer to the gangbangers. The gangbangers got way more honor. The gangbanger ain't gonna tell you to put something down, then when you put it down, fill you full of lead like Sonia Massey. The gangbanger ain't gonna ask for your ID and then fill you full of holes the second you reach for it. The gangbanger ain't gonna choke the life out of you in front of a whole group of people and expect to get away with it. But every pig with a badge out there just thinks that's their God-given right. They are judge, jury, and executioner, and it's about time as a people we start calling it out. Anyways, y'all have a wonderful evening. Keep the boots out your mouth. Yeehaw, fuck the law. Let's get these goddamn gangbangers off our streets.